This is the value of wrestling, the revolutionary force in wrestling podcasting.
Oh, you didn't know. Well, welcome to the show. This is Big Tyme Rants on the Big Time. This is the Value of Wrestling right here on YouTube. Back with another Big Tyme Rants, episode 91. And we're going to go over several little things here. Bryan Danielson's status update. What did Toni Storm say on the scrum? I promise you I could talk. That's got people all riled up. What's the new deal with UFC and WWE? What is Goldberg talking about? A lot of things to cover, and we're going to have a lot of information to break down to you. We're going to cover all of that right here, right now. Episode 91 of the Big Tyme Rants. Are you ready? Let's jump into this. Let's talk about the big moment last night at Dynasty outside of the Will Ospreay Bryan Danielson match. But the big moment here, Swerve Strickland being crowned AEW World Champion, being the first black AEW World Champion, and Mark Henry has praised this, coming out and saying, and I quote, "They didn't pass up on an opportunity to do the right thing. It's earned. It wasn't because he was African American. It was because he was talented, and I feel like that's a beautiful thing, and representation matters, and it means everything." Mark Henry very happy and very elated to see Swerve Strickland win the AEW title, and we all can't wait to see what Swerve Strickland's going to do. It was a great match. I do have to stand back and say I felt like it got overshown by some other things. I wish this match would have had the feeling of a crowning Swerve that was a little more. I know it's a great moment. People are celebrating, and congratulations to Swerve Strickland. He deserves everything he has. He's earned this opportunity to be here. Can't wait to see what he's going to do going forward. But I just wish that celebration, that moment, that ending was a little more special for him, for the fans. Like it stood out a little more. It just didn't feel like it was that big celebration moment for me. And you may disagree, and that's perfectly fine, but I just don't feel like that moment hit with the impact, or that moment of like being burnt in our memories. And Swerve should have gotten that moment, and I think a lot of other things kind of stepped on what we were building to, and now is kind of didn't let the light shine as bright on Swerve as it should have. So Swerve Strickland, your new AEW World Champion. We here at the Value Wrestling hope that he gets to rise, show what he has, and gets a nice run with the AEW World Champion to show why he earned it and should be AEW Champion. Moving along, Damian Priest longs for Metallica to accompany him with WrestleMania entrance. Coming from Ringside News, it looks like Damian Priest was being talked to, and with Jesus, everything's missing here. Metal Hammer. In a recent interview with Metal Hammer, Damian Priest discussed the close relationship between wrestling and heavy metal music, emphasizing how the fan bases for both share similar characteristics. He then went on to say, and I quote, absolutely, I feel like they go hand in hand. I mean, you see wrestling shows, you see a sea of black shirts. You go to a metal show, you see a sea of black shirts, you know? It's one of those things that's the same kind of character or personality. It's something that you, to your point, wrestling and metal aren't normal. It's not the norm. Our fan bases are so passionate. I'm a fan of sports and movies and all types of stuff. But when it comes to both of these industries, the passion for a fan to be so immersed in it, I think it's a special feeling, and you can't compare it to anything else. He then went on to say, he was asked about what band, when asked which band he'd like to play him to the ring at WrestleMania, he went on to say, the mighty Metallica. You know what I mean? Can you imagine Metallica playing me to the ring? It'd be wild, yeah? Hey, maybe I've got to go talk to the boss man. Be like, hey, what's up with Metallica? That'd be a whole different dream scenario. I don't know if I'm ready for that. So Damian Priest wanting Metallica to play him to ringside at WrestleMania. That would be awesome. I think Metallica should get involved in some form or fashion or another, because that would be awesome. I'm a diehard Metallica fan myself. So that'd be a big moment there. WWE and UFC have announced that NXT Battleground will emanate from the UFC Apex to host what is going to be WWE's NXT Battleground in June. WWE has announced, and this is coming from Ringside News, has announced an exciting collaboration with UFC, bringing NXT Battleground to the UFC Apex in Las Vegas on Sunday, June 9th. The groundbreaking event marks WWE's inaugural venture into the state-of-art of 130,000 square feet venue, renowned for hosting UFC Fight Night events, Dana's White Contender Series, and various other spectacles. Shawn Michaels, WWE's Senior Vice President of Talent Development Creative, expressed enthusiasm about this partnership, stating, "We are always exploring new frontiers to showcase NXT, and we're excited to bring Battleground to this world-class event production facility in partnership with the UFC. Fans are eager to witness the electrifying action up close and can secure their spots with the limited NXT Battleground Priority Passes available exclusively through Partner on Location. These passes offer a premium ringside experience, including all-inclusive pre-show hospitality featuring appearances by WWE superstars, ringside photo opportunities, and much more." So, WWE partnering with UFC to bring us NXT Battleground. Seems like it's going to be a good thing. We have to wait and see what happens on June 9th. From Las Vegas. And that'll be right after Double or Nothing from Las Vegas. And TNA is in Las Vegas. Las Vegas returning to a huge wrestling hub, it seems like. Mercedes Moné advised to stay off TV, off of AEW TV for a bit. A report coming from Ringside News. Mercedes Moné arrival on AEW was met with high expectations, but her debut hit a roadblock due to medical clearance issues. Despite being featured front and center on AEW Dynamite, I can talk. I promise you, I can talk. I can do this. She has yet to compete or engage in any significant action, leading to concerns about her momentum. During a recent appearance on Busted Open Radio, Tommy Dreamer discussed the importance of follow-up and maintaining momentum after a high-profile debut. Tommy also stated his concern about the disconnect caused by Moné's absence from in-ring action following her debut, especially considering the attack she suffered during an interview segment. Tommy further questioned the decision to have her involved in AEW storyline while not being medically cleared, suggesting that it may contribute to the disconnect experienced by fans. Tommy then suggests for Moné to take a break or a breather from TV until she's good to go. He compared it to Adam Cole's vanishing act after being unmasked as a Decibel, suggesting it might work wonders for Moné to step back until she is fit. And we know there's a lot of heat, a lot of back and forth, a lot of people talking about Mercedes Moné, which is good in its own way, but it's a lot of negative kind of conversation because it's very boring. It doesn't seem like she's earned her spot. We haven't seen her in ring. We're having to wait till Double Nothing. And I know we here have criticized the whole aspect of that. I've been a big critiquer of, like, if we're going to have her there, she needs to be involved in something. If she's not clear, then what do we have her there for? And she feels like one of the biggest busts in the free signing agencies. They did this big business thing, debuted her, and it's just kind of been lackluster. She's just kind of boring. And I think that's a great hindrance to what could be a great time for Mercedes Moné. And we want to see Mercedes Moné thrive. We want to see this character become something, blossom into something, be that next level for Mercedes Moné. We want to see her help change AEW, but AEW has a history of not doing good booking, and right now with Mercedes Moné, it's not been good, and fans are kind of just like the whole scenario. What is going to happen with Mercedes Moné going forward? We're going to have to wait and see. It's going to be very, very interesting. Goldberg making the rounds. The incomparable Goldberg, and this is coming from Ringside News, also has been regarded as one of the most dominant and accomplished wrestling stars of all times. However, he has been away from the ring for a while, ever since his last stint with WWE. Now has given his honest take on the possibility of joining AEW. Numerous reports indicated AEW President Tony Khan and Goldberg were in talks to work together after WWE did not give him the proper retirement match he had desired to close the chapter of his wrestling career. But it's become known things did not come to fruition as Goldberg never made it to AEW, and in a recent interview with 93.7 The Ticket, the former WCW champion recently shed light on the decision not to join AEW, citing the perceived tone of the product as a major factor. In candid remarks, Goldberg revealed having engaged in discussions with AEW President Tony Khan on multiple occasions. Sorry about that. I tried to kill off when I've got to sneeze. However, again, Goldberg revealed having engaged in discussions with AEW President Tony Khan on multiple occasions. However, he emphasized his belief that the AEW product leans too heavily into what is described as he described as cheesy style. He expressed a reluctance to align himself with a brand that, in his view, didn't meet his personal standards. And I quote, this is Goldberg, "I've talked to him, Tony Khan, a number of times throughout the past, but this is where you're going to get the most blunt answer you're going to get from me. The product is too cheesy. The product is too cheesy. It doesn't deserve to have, whatever. Now you're really going to get me going. But if there was a comparable, viable option as a competitor that would allow me to still look myself in the mirror after I was a member of that roster, yeah, then it would be a consideration, but not a chance with AEW, it looks like." Goldberg, even his insight says that Tony Khan at AEW is too cheesy. That's a different comparison that we haven't heard a lot about. But it is very interesting. Goldberg's calling AEW too cheesy. Will we see Goldberg return to the ring? Will Goldberg ever get the retirement match that he thinks he deserves, that he thinks he should have gotten? It's very interesting. Recent comments from Goldberg have put him in a negative light to some fans, if not all fans nowadays. Let's see what happens with Goldberg going forward. Finally, we come to Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay had one of the greatest matches of all times, if not the greatest match of all time. Definitely the greatest match of the last decade, the greatest match in AEW history, if not just one of the greatest clinics. They showed people what wrestling is, and this is the match that you're going to show people in the future, your grandchildren, your children, whoever it may be. This is where wrestling needs to sit down and show people who want to get into business. This is what wrestling is. An amazing match on a show that was, it was very average to good at times, but not what I don't know. I don't think it's living up to the hype of being greater than WrestleMania and overall, but to each their own. But anyways, Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay had an amazing match that ended in a very interesting way. Ospreay had hit the Storm Breaker 91 on Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson hit on the back of his shoulders and looked to have gotten injured and acted like he was injured. The referee was calling over the medical staff. Will Ospreay did not realize that the doctors had been called over and then hit the hidden blade on the back of Bryan Danielson's neck, finishing the match 1, 2, 3, crowning him the victor and moving on to what may come next. Bryan Danielson laid in the ring, injured. Medical team looked over him. Eventually, Ospreay realized he was really hurt, or was assumably hurt, and checked on him. And then at the scrum, Will Ospreay announced he was retiring the Stormbreaker 91. He knows he hit Bryan Danielson. It was announced by Tony Khan that Bryan Danielson was okay. But here's the reports, and this coming from Ringside News. Bryan Danielson is undoubtedly one of the top professional wrestlers globally, and he had an incredible match at AEW Dynasty. There was also an injury scare for Danielson during the bout, and now an update on Danielson has been revealed. Fans who witnessed the epic showdown between Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay at AEW Dynasty were left worried when the match concluded with Danielson pinned by Ospreay, then remaining motionless on the mat. Cameras captured the scene as doctors quickly surrounded Danielson, indicating a possible injury. As the medics attended to him, Ospreay interacted with Danielson, seemingly expressing concern for his opponent's condition. This interaction further fueled speculation about the severity of the incident. However, in a recent update coming out of Fightful, reported that the concerning aftermath was all planned. It was all part of the show, all designed to add dramatic effect to the match's conclusion. The revelation provides relief to fans who fear Danielson's well-being, reassuring them that his safety was not compromised despite the intense nature of the match's final moments. Nonetheless, we'll have to wait to see what AEW has in store for Bryan Danielson. Now that it has been confirmed, he is all right. So it looks like Bryan Danielson wasn't injured. This was all planned. This was all staged. This was all part of whatever's going on. Was this to add dramatic effect to the end of the match? If that was all it was for, I think this is a bad spot. Whether it was Tony Khan who decided this, or whether it was Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay who decided this, I think it calls for a bad spot. If we were just trying to add dramatic effect to the end of the match, because we just don't want to. I think you grab onto the fans' emotional well-being, where you take them out of the illusionary world, out of the kayfabe world, and into reality. And I think that's, you can grab onto emotional heartstrings and pull it as long as you can keep the illusion going. Now, granted, if Brian wasn't actually hurt and was selling it, then yeah, it's part of the illusion. But I think you take the fans out of buying into that illusion. The more concerned is he really hurt again? Do we really want to see Brian Danielson again? We just don't want to see this man die. This man has been hurt a lot, and we're just concerned that we know the history of his neck injury. So this spot, if it was just a dramatic effect, I'm not a fan. I don't support it. I don't think it was the right move. I think Brian Danielson getting pinned cleanly by Will Ospreay helps Will Ospreay and sets that establishment. The injury, not necessary. Now, if this is going to be a storyline that's going to play into something in the long term, then it depends on how that storyline is paid out. And if that's what you're going with, Tony Khan, then you better be on top of your P's and Q's and make sure you sell this right. Just to injure Brian Danielson and get the fans in an uproar is very, very dangerous and can be very, very upsetting. If you're paying this off, I hope it pays off good. If this is to write Danielson off of TV for a while, I don't think we needed it again. I think for dramatic effect or to write him off of TV, it wasn't necessary. There was no point in it. It just wasn't needed. If there's a storyline that's actually going to pay off, then I will give you the opportunity to tell me the story, Tony Khan, but you better make sure it pays off. Anyways, in conclusion, Toni Storm went on the scrum and made a statement to Tony Khan in character at the scrum that she, no matter how many matches she wins, she's never going to invite Tony Khan to come down and celebrate with her. A lot of people have taken this and ran with, oh, she's taking shots at WWE. This is Toni Storm's character. I don't think this is a shot at WWE. This is her seeing something that happened on the show and expressing it to Tony in a way that plays into her character. This is Toni Storm going, oh, yes, Tony, I would never invite you to the ring to celebrate with me. I'm not that type. This is more character driven than being a pop shot at WWE. It doesn't, and I know people are like, oh, the WWE crybabies are going to cry over Toni Storm taking shots. Can we quit reading into this stuff? Why does stuff have to have some hidden meaning? Yes, Cody Rhodes invited Triple H and Bruce Pritchard out to the ring after winning the world title at WrestleMania, had this big celebration moment. It was a different story. Tony Khan referencing that idea and saying, I'm not going to invite people out, means so much more. And of course, if we go to TNA, there was wrestlers inviting Scott D'Amore to the ring. So, I mean, we could go all types of ways with this, but I think people are reading too much into this and creating something out of nothing that didn't have to have any connection with anything. It's Toni Storm being in character. She did not take a shot at WWE. So if you're thinking that, if you want to sell that line, fine. I think it's dumb. I think you're just adding to this fuel to the fire that keeps this tribalism going. Why does that have to mean anything than her being a character and using something she saw and using it in her character development? Get over it. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the Big Time. This has been Big Tyme Rants. This is episode 91. I thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this. Make sure you hit the like button. Ring that bell for notification. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. We're well on our way to blowing this thing up. We're here to be contenders, not pretenders. We are going to be the best in this game. We are bringing it. Get excited. Get ready, because Value Wrestling is on fire, and we are constantly growing, and we need your support. We thank you to everybody who has joined the Value Wrestling family. Thank you for support each and every day. We can't wait to grow bigger, stronger, and better, and we need your help to do that. So hit that subscribe button. Join the Value Wrestling family. Become part of what we are going to become. Become part of the value of wrestling. So, anyways, let me get out of here, and I will catch you on the next one.